Is Trey Turner ever going to heat up this season? Can Sandy Alcantara still be an ace for your fantasy baseball team? Join us today where we provide you with the best trade deadline advice and players to target on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm Dominic Martino, and you can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my best friend, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you could find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes you to the channel, also gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly, subscribe to us on the Subtext website. Through Subtext, it's a one-on-one personalized in-depth texting experience where you get instant call-up alerts, prospect information, everything under the sun that you could think of. And it goes right to your phone, and it's a great experience on Subtext. You know, everyone that's already in there loves it, and just a lot more than we could offer in this 30-minute show. Also, guys, today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB or enter the promo code LockedOnMLB for a free white tech hat with any order. You won't want to take Bird Dogs off your list, we promise. And guys, as always, we have a fully loaded episode for you today. Let us be your team secret weapon as we talk about the best players to trade for at your trade deadline and give you the best advice on what to do as it approaches. Matt, as always, that's a lot of talking for me, brother. So why don't you hop on in?
All right, let's talk about Mr. Trey Turner. Trey has been getting his stuff together as of late. Got a hit tonight. Was hitting in the 8th spot in the lineup. Got moved up to 4. I have a feeling he's going to keep rising in that lineup, and he's going to start getting in the position to be really successful. Batting about 167 over the last couple days. But at the same time, I think he's turning a corner here. I think right now is probably the buy low window because if they're not watching Philly, they're not seeing the improvement that Trey Turner is actually doing out there on the field at the plate. And what he's doing right now, I think, is like right on the cusp of just breaking out and finally giving us that Trey Turner production. I know I've said this before, but I think it's true this time. I've just been watching him. He looks a lot more confident at the plate. He's not chasing as hard. He looks like he's got his head in the game. And it's only going to take like 2 or 3 to get his confidence going, especially in this lineup if they really start grooving and getting that Philly magic going all fanatic on everybody. I think Trey Turner can honestly really take that step to be the player we all drafted him to be. So honestly, go out there, trade for him. I mean, here's the thing though, you're going to have to give up a lot, but not like what you would give up if he was at his top end production, right? Like straight up, like let's think about it here. Dom, I'm going to ask you questions. Let's see here.
Sure.
All right. Would you trade Sandy for Trey Turner?
If I'm the Trey Turner owner, if I truly needed starting pitching and it's like a dynasty keeper league, I probably would be close on that one because Sandy is still, I believe, 27 and Trey Turner is 30. So, I mean, that's kind of like a solid move in the sense of Trey Turner's underperforming, Sandy's underperforming. So it's kind of like a swap for a swap. But if you're chilling at starting pitching and your starting pitching staff is fine, I'm probably not doing that. But once again, as I said, if you need that help and your hitting is fine, that's a move I'd make.
Okay. I got one more for you.
Yeah,
what about Logan Gilbert?
Ooh. Once again, in a keeper dynasty setting, I think that's a move you got to make too. Because I just want to check Gilbert's age again. He is 26. And Gilbert just has a lot of upside, and this year I know the ERA is a little bit inflated. The K per 9 isn't really there, but he just has so much upside, Logan Gilbert. He's pitching a little bit higher than his FIP. His FIP is a 3.63. I could see Gilbert, at 26 years old, still has, a lot of career ahead of him. I think, over the next couple of years, that ERA could be like a low threes ERA, right around that K per 9. The control's always been very good with Logan Gilbert at a 1.14 career whip through 435 innings. There's another gear there. There's another level there. If he can hit it, if Gilbert can hit it, I mean, yeah. But maybe that's a trade where I say, hey, you know what? Since Gilbert has never really been, like a top 15 pitcher the way Sandy has, throw me in a closer. Throw me in a little bit of spice with Gilbert. And you know what? You'll probably get the, Logan Gilbert owner to bite on that because of Trey Turner's upside. But let's not sleep on Trey Turner either here. I think Trey Turner still has a lot of upside. But Matt, go ahead, finish your take, brother.
No, I think that was pretty much it. You pretty much ran away with it.
No, I didn't see. I know sometimes you get a little upset with me when I hop in too quickly. So I was gonna start rambling, but I was like, let me just check in with my brother first and make sure that I'm okay. But
Thank you.
Of course, brother. But with Trey Turner, it's a tough situation. What I do want to point out here at the top of the episode before we really deep dive into all these players, trading is such a circumstantial thing. Like, it depends on your team, the makeup of your team, the kind of league you're playing in. So I know most trade deadlines are August 10th, which is Thursday. So you're listening to this, there's one day to make those trades. I know me and Matt play in a very big money home league where there was about, Matt, how many trades today? I think like 5 or 6 different trades
9.
that went down. Oh, okay. I was short. So there was 9 trades today in that league.
I made 3.
It's a very fun league to play in when everyone's willing to wheel and deal like that. Just know your team, know what your team needs, know who your competition is. I know Matt's one of my biggest competitions, and I saw him make a big trade. So I was like, all right, I'm going out there and I'm making a big trade. I'm bolstering up my team as well. But know what you need. I knew what I needed. I know Matt knows what he needed, and we traded for what we needed. We gave away what we had a little extra of to get what we needed on our team. And, we know our league format. We know, just be very cognizant of your team, of your league, and all that stuff as you're going into this. But Trey Turner, Matt, I think you covered him very, very good. Let's keep things pushing here and move on to the next guy. I still think Trey Turner has a very hot streak coming because he hasn't done it yet. Did you want to hop in, brother? Oh yeah. You know what? Before we move on and we talk about a Tampa Bay player who's had a really, really, really cold July. We got a New York Mets guy on there who's actually been heating up a little bit, and we got a Milwaukee starting pitcher who's actually been very, very hot of late. And then we got a couple of more fan favorites, somebody we mentioned at the top of the episode. I just want to talk to you about the sponsor of today's episode, and that is Bird Dogs. Today's episode is sponsored by the clothing company Bird Dogs. Looking for clothes that redefine comfort and style? Look no further than Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs makes you look good with Bird Dogs stretch khaki shorts that are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, giving you a truly sculpted look. They fit way better than regular shorts that are made of a stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fixed this issue by inventing cloud knit fabrics that looks just like khaki but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice any movement. Bird Dog uses an anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Bird Dogs do the same exact thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. Bird Dogs, once again, just sent Matt and I some more gear, and I couldn't be more happy with it. I don't know if you guys were here the other day. I had the Bird Dogs hat on. They sent Matt and I some, pants with the, the summer, wrapping up fairly soon, and they threw us another pair of shorts. Bless Bird Dogs, guys. And their clothes, like, this isn't even in the ad. This is just me ranting about how much I personally love Bird Dogs clothes and shorts. The ad is true, where these shorts fit so much better than any other shorts I own, and I could really turn this 1-minute ad to like a 5-minute ad, but you gotta keep things pushing here. Just go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb, and when you enter the promo code locked on, we'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler with every single order. So guys, get to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb today. And dear everydayers and new listeners, we have an incredible opportunity for you to support the show and enjoy some fantastic perks along the way, introducing our Diamond Club on the Subtext website. By becoming a member, you not only contribute to the show's success, but also gain access to exclusive benefits, get your hands on waiver wire rankings, call-up alerts, injury updates, instant reactions to everything fantasy baseball, and you enjoy direct access to us for all of your burning fantasy baseball questions, especially with that trade deadline coming up. Plus, you can try it out completely free for 14 days. Your support means the world to Matt and I, and we can't wait to connect with you on this exciting journey. Join our Diamond Club on the Subtext website today, and let's take your fantasy baseball experience to new heights. And guys, as we've been saying, if you are already the member of the Diamond Club, or if you sign up for the Diamond Club before September 1st, you get to join, or you don't get to join, you get a chance to join our listener league for next year. Come and show the pros that you guys can get out there and you could beat us. It's a very rewarding experience to, play. And you know what? We could just all have fun together, getting to know each other and just being in a fantasy league together. It builds camaraderie, and we would appreciate all of you guys, joining us on Subtext and, getting into that listener league for next year. But all right, Matt, that's always a lot. That's a big breath for me. Hop on in with this next guy.
All right, let's talk about Mr. Randy Arozarena. Our friend here already kind of took our advice before taking our advice because he just got moved in our league.
Yeah, that was so funny that trade went down.
I was like, wow, all right. But I mean, hey, we're not the only ones seeing it. He's a great move, and quite honestly, perfect time to pounce because he's going to bounce back. He's already batting 500 tonight. Like Arozarena has really figured it out, hit that second level of talent here, I think. And I think he's probably going to finish with about 25 home runs after everything's said and done. Stolen bases are down on the year, but I mean, they're still where he could, still put up another 15 and make it a decent year and get us to 27 stolen bases. Batting average is probably going to be about 265 by the time you look at it, and by the time year ends. And the way Tampa's just playing right now, they're cooling offshore, but Arozarena can really turn it around and lift your team to a whole nother level. I think he's definitely worth adding at this moment. There's no reason not to. Outfield has been pretty weak. Guys have been falling down like crazy. I mean, let's think of it this way. 9 out of 10 teams, if you picked up Josh Young, probably had him in your UT. Trading for Arozarena and getting him for cheap right now is probably your best bet. I think that you could probably scoop him up for somewhat cheap because nobody really expected him to go this off. So now they're seeing the decrease. They think he's going to return the mean. You could probably get him for pretty cheap and fill out your utility or your outfield.
Yeah, with Randy Arozarena, the thing is that I think the buy low window is here right now because in July through 22 games, he hit 153 with 2 homers, 10 runs, only 5 RBIs in 22 games. That's not very Randy Arozarena like. And through 5 games so far this month in August, he's hitting 167. But we all know the true Randy Arozarena. His numbers last year are very, very strong. Randy last year, 72 runs, 20 homers, 89 RBIs, 32 steals, 263 batting average. I think he's going to bounce back here at the end of the season, and he's going to give you that nice little push to go over the edge in September and really, put you in position to win a fantasy baseball championship this year. So Randy Arozarena, I think, is a very, very good buy low-ish candidate because, the overall numbers still look pretty good with the 18 homers and the 12 steals and, the batting average at 253, but that's because of a poor July. I think that batting average gets back up to the 260, 265 range. So buy low on Randy while you can. Let's move on to another guy. And it's a little bit opposite of Randy Arozarena, where Randy had the hot start. This guy had a very, very slow start, and that's Francisco Lindor. But Francisco Lindor has sneakily been picking it up of late, as his teammate Pete Alonso has been as well. And once again, if you listen to us and you bought low on Pete Alonso, oh boy, is that paying off for you. But the last 30 days for Lindor, 15 runs, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, 5 steals, 274 batting average, back to that normal Francisco Lindor. On the year, once again, the numbers are sneakily good, but people probably see Lindor's 246 batting average and they're like, that's not the Francisco Lindor of old. But 71 runs, 22 homers, 69 RBIs, 18 steals. He could finish the year with close to 100 runs, 100 RBIs, 25 plus steals, and 28 homers. That's a very, very strong year for Lindor. So I think while that batting average is still, nice and low, there might be a buy low window. You're probably still going to have to pay up a little bit to get Lindor. But I think that you could still probably go out there and, see what you can do with that Francisco Lindor trade, because I think you can get it done a lot easier than you could last year.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, you know what? The fatigue is there, and they might be trying to sell high on him, but I think they're going to be mistaken, especially with the deadline coming around. They might want more of a sure thing. So what you do is you float them somebody that's steady, that's not a Lindor upside, or not somebody that's like a key cog in your team, right? So, like, I mean, let me just think about this real quick. If I'm really looking at this, right, like we could really throw out there, and you know what? I can't even put a freaking name together. But I mean, right now, I guess if you can't tell, I'm willing to move Logan Gilbert for some reason. But
Yeah.
I feel like he's been so up and down. If the player has if the team has a low pitching grade, you might be able to sneak them in a Logan Gilbert for Lindor, and the upside will probably balance out. But you'll be able to get a boost in your batting. Hunter Brown would be another nice trade target to trade towards Lindor. Hunter Brown has been so flippity floppity for you too recently, but he's still a nice name and he's still been good. And I'm willing to move on from him to get Lindor. You might have to add something else in, but it probably won't take much.
Matt, I got one for you. And I don't even know if I would do this. How about like a CJ Abrams and a little something else for Lindor?
I would do that in a
CJ
heartbeat.
Abrams is a guy that got picked up off the waiver wire in most leagues, and he's another guy that's just been on like a huge tear. Let me see if I can get CJ Abrams the last 2 weeks for Abrams is 8 runs, 1 homer, 4 RBIs, 8 steals, 286 batting average.
Yeah, I would do that.
And this is just like a redraft league, and obviously not Dynasty Keeper. Dynasty Keeper, you probably want to hang on to Abrams, but if you're just trying to win this year, I think you probably go with Lindor, who's on the better team. And just has done it before with a way better upside.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move off of Lindor. Sorry. Let's talk about Mr. Peralta. Freddie Peralta here has been having like a pretty low key, really good month. I mean, he has a 3 ERA on the month, 44 Ks through 30 innings, 3 wins, and a sub-1 WHIP at .83. I'm loving it, what he's doing after the slow start, because on the year the season numbers don't look great. He has an ERA of 4.28, but the K per nines are there and the wins are there. Like all his peripherals were there. Freddie Peralta has kind of returned, so he's going to be hard to get off somebody's team. But at the same time, you could. Here's the thing: trading isn't just about like setting an offer and just like, okay, I think they'll accept it. Like trading is texting, saying, yo, look, he started off slow. He's kind of turning it around. This is why I'm kind of willing to give you like so-and-so, right? Right. You could give him like Christian Walker. You can give him, like that's something I'm definitely willing to give up. You could give like, let's see here. I'm looking at my team, who I would go and trade. Like this is redraft. Jordan Walker, kind of give up the upside with him, package him and somebody else. Mountcastle, somebody you were able to pick off waiver wires. Mountcastle's been hot since he's been back. Like these are names I'd probably move for Peralta and see if I can scoop him up on the cheap end. Probably have to package 1 or 2 of these guys together, but Peralta is somebody that you probably can get because they might be fatigued as well.
I'll say this, man. I love me some Freddie Peralta, man. I'm so satisfied with what he's been doing of late. Specifically, Freddie Peralta's last 3 starts. In his last 3 starts, he has 2 13 strikeout games. I mean, you can't ask for more as you're heading into the playoffs here. Freddie Peralta's, I'll give you his all the numbers over his last 3 starts. So Freddie Peralta, the last 3, 19 innings, a 1.89 ERA, and in those 19 innings, 33 strikeouts, a sub-1 WHIP, and his FIP is a 0.80, an 0.80 FIP through his last 3 starts. Batters are hitting 169. The batters are going for a 169 batting average against Freddie Peralta in his last 3. I mean, what a time for the guy to really get it going. But as Matt said, if somebody's, a lot of people at this time of year, they're not like tuned in, and they don't know, they might not have seen all of his last 3 starts. They may not know that about those monster strikeout games. So if you say, oh yeah, on the year, it's a 4.280 ERA, the WHIP is a 1.19, which is actually not horrible, but it's a little bit high. K per nine's there, but that's Freddie Peralta's thing. I mean, you still might be able to go out there and, buy low. As Matt mentioned, get guys that you got off the waiver wire, like a Sal Frelick or, just dudes that you really didn't have to pay a lot for. If you could package them together and get yourself a Freddie Peralta, I think you're going to have, a nice time with that. But let's move on to, another pitcher here. Actually, first, before we move on to a Miami Marlins, ace, and we have a potential ace who's coming off of the IL very, very soon. I just want to talk to you guys about one more of our ad partners, and it's one that Matt and I love. It is Sleeper. Sleeper is a fantasy sports and real money gaming app focused on bringing people together through sports and gaming. Sleeper has become the fastest organically growing fantasy platform in the world with over 5 million active users in 2022. At Sleeper, it's not just about sports, it's about building personal connections and lasting memories. Sleeper Picks is a real money product that connects friends over picks. Choose from 2 to 8 of your favorite players from pregame, live, or even across different sports. Pick higher or lower than the predicted stats. Only on Sleeper can you get up to 100 times payout. Share with your friends and get rewarded together. Use the promo code LOCKEDON and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for further details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. And with that being said, guys, let's jump back in here. We got a couple more names for you, and then if time permits, we're going to talk to you about some more general, just trade deadline advice. Let's move on to Sandy Alcantara, and I think Matt and I differ a bit here. I'm not 100% sure. Matt and I were talking about him a little bit, before we got on here. But Sandy, we all know what he did the last few years. He's been a top starting pitcher. I know he's been a little bit up and down, over the season, but I want to focus on Sandy's last 8 starts. In his last 8 starts, he has 1 complete game. He has 53 innings pitched, 47 strikeouts. The whip is about a 104. He's got a 2.85 ERA. Batters are hitting 244 against him over that time. And I mean, it's still not the regular Sandy Alcantara that we expect. But you're buying low on Sandy right now. You're looking at Sandy's, year-long numbers, and, you're talking to the Sandy owner, and you're saying he's not the guy he was last year with the 4.28 ERA on the season. He's way under that K per 9, where he's usually just a little bit under it with 149 innings on the season, 125 strikeouts, and a 119 whip. I mean, Sandy the last 2 years an 0.98 whip and a 1.07 whip. So you're not really, buying the best pitcher in fantasy baseball. But I think the rest of the way, Sandy could be a top 20 guy. And now's the time. Now, no time better to buy in on him and just kind of see what you get. You're not going to have to pay a crazy amount for him. So I think you go out there and you just see if you can, sneak Sandy onto your team heading into the playoffs.
I mean, Sandy is just so up and down. I understand he's had a really great month. But if you look at it, in his last 8 starts, he did get terrible ERAs. The Ks are there, don't get me wrong, but the thing about Sandy Alcantara is not really a K per 9 guy. So the Ks are kind of cool, but at the same time, I'm not sure. Maybe he's trying to strike more people out. Maybe he's trying to, quit that, mix that in his game, and to explain why he's, leaving pitches out there to hang and get hit. Maybe he's just being unlucky. I'm not sure, but there's something wrong with Sandy. He's changed something. And I think that he reminds me of what's his face from last year, the other Miami pitcher that just took an absolute flop.
I'm trying to think. Not Luzardo, not Edward Cabrera. Trevor Rogers?
Yes, Trevor Rogers. Thank you. So Trevor Rogers, he had such a great year the year before. We all thought he was going to come up, be this top 25 arm, and then boom, took a poop. Now, Sandy's done it for a couple more years than Trevor Rogers. Don't get me wrong, but maybe he's trying to take his next steps and be the K per 9 guy, and what everybody kind of knocks Sandy for and isn't giving him the respect he deserves, since he isn't in the Scherzer room, the Kershaw room, anybody else, the Strider room. Alcantara is missing the K per 9, and maybe that's what he's trying to do. But I don't like him. I just traded him away at this point. I traded for him. I traded him away now. I don't know if I'm willing to bring him on my team. And if he's on my team, I'm trying to move him for a bigger piece. So like if I could move him for like him and another bat, I just picked up Paul Goldschmidt. Like that's what I was able to go out there and get. But I did have another piece of that trade. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. It's a matter of what your strengths and weaknesses are. Sandy Alcantara was like my sixth best pitcher. So it is what it is. He's probably is at this point if you bought low on him. So now you can kind of almost capitalize on that and get something better. So it is what it is with Sandy Alcantara. It's on your choice of what you want to do, whether it's buy or sell low. Here's both sides. But anyway, let's talk about this last guy here. And this guy, I don't know. Chris Sale. Like Chris Sale for me is so up and down because if you guys don't know this about me, I love Chris Sale as a whole. I had him most of his career when I'm in playing fantasy baseball. Like he's one of the guys I got every single year, no matter what. But ever since he started really like showing off his flanges and them getting inflated, and Alberto Mondesi joined Boston, things have just been really weird for Chris Sale.
You had to find a way to blame it on Mondesi, right? I love that. Matt's just like, yeah, it's Alberto Mondesi's fault.
Bro,
I love that.
It spreads like the coronavirus. I'm sorry. It's atrocious. The flanges. And he must have hung out with Jazz Chisholm over the break because it's really frustrating. But anyway, Chris Sale, like his upside could be like if he turns the second corner and he's out there, he could have a really nice mid to low 3 ERA. He can have a K per 9 with ease, but the wins aren't going to be there with Boston. They're not the same team they were, and the whip could be low. So I think right now with Chris Sale at 73% owned, he's still out there in some leagues. But if you could trade for him on the real cheap, like slide him into a trade of you trying to acquire somebody else, and he's like the back end, that's the guy that'll get the deal done for me. Go for it. What's the worst that happens? He takes an outright poop and you drop him. You got him for free with somebody else anyway. But he's a nice little slide it on in at the end and see what happens.
I mean, I'm going to say this. If anyone has been paying attention to Chris Sale's season, you know that in his last 6 starts before he got hurt, he went 5-1. He pitched 36 innings. He had 41 strikeouts. He had 1 whip. His ERA was a 2.25. Batters were hitting 191 against him, and the FIP was a 2.74 during that time for Chris Sale. And then in Chris Sale's final rehab start, 4.1 scoreless innings, 0 walks, struck out 7. I mean, it looks like he's going to pick up where he left off. And the numbers on the year aren't even that horrible. The ERA is a little bit high at that 4.58, but there was a few really bad starts at the beginning of the season. A 1.19 whip is not really bad. 59 innings, 71 strikeouts. That's what you love from Chris Sale. I honestly think if you can acquire Chris Sale, he's actually coming back to start Friday. So if you can acquire Chris Sale right before the trade deadline, there's a chance you get yourself a top 20. I might be a little bullish saying this, but a top 15, 20 pitcher for the rest of the way. I mean, if he pitches the way he did in his last 6 starts, you can't tell me that that's not a 5-1 record, 36 innings, 41 strikeouts, 1 whip, 2.25 ERA. I mean, that's a top 15, 20 pitcher by all means. I know the Red Sox have been, over the last 10, they're 3-7, but they have a positive record on the whole year, 58 and 54. So the wins aren't going to be atrocious there. So I think Chris Sale's ups. I'm just talking about his upside, what his ceiling is, not what I expect, but the ceiling, the highest potential of Chris Sale is that he comes back and he picks up where he left off, and that's like almost a league winning type of pickup the rest of the way. So I mean, Matt and I will agree to disagree here at the end of the podcast. We got a minute or 2 here left, so I'll just throw out some general trade advice, guys, with that trade deadline. Don't sit. Don't sit around and just, watch the magic happen around you. Get involved, throw out offers. My thing is, throw out at least 1 offer to every team in your league. If you're in a 10, 12-man league, maybe if you're in a, even a deeper league, go out to half the teams, throw out an offer, identify what your team needs, and go out there and get it. Trade from your strengths to acquire your weaknesses. Know if you're in a points league, know the scoring settings, know if the pitcher score higher or the batter score higher. If you're in a dynasty or keeper league and you're at the bottom of the barrel, go out there and get prospects for next year. If you're at the top, trade, away some of your prospects to get stuff to help you this year. It's just really all, about what your team needs at this point in year. So identify that and just, roll with the punches. Join us on Subtext. If you have any of those burning questions that you need to, ask us, come on to Subtext. Matt and I answer pretty quick, and we'll give you all the advice that you need going into this trade deadline. But my best advice is just don't sit around and watch the magic happen around you. Make the magic happen.
Exactly. It's all about manufacturing that championship. And this is the time, right? This is your last shot to go and acquire somebody that's not on the waiver wire. So, there's guys out there that you might want to even go after, and you may not consider it normally. But I mean, hey, people are frustrated. Carlos Rodon is a bonus name right here. Just hit the IL again, but is still pitching even though he's on the IL. So they're probably just shutting him down to, figure out that hamstring. So, hey, the fatigue is there. Go out and see if you can acquire him. See if you can see what they're going to do. Like, there's names out there you can seriously go after. So don't be afraid to take shots and give up nothing to go get it.
Yeah, guys, so that's all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Also, thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers and new listeners. We wouldn't be where we are without you today, and we truly appreciate every single one of you. But make sure you lock on in for a new episode tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about the best waiver wire ads heading into the weekend. But guys, until then, see you.
Peace.